Surprise coming here soon. And they don't start releasing videos and footage about you, boy. Because you got some skeletons in your closet. That's why you want to hurt everybody that say something about you. That's why you want to go hurt somebody that's...
We're in the shadowy heart of Memphis, where legends rise fast and get crushed just as quick. And tonight, it ain't the block, but the courtroom taking center stage. Hernandez Govin Hernandez to folks who know the name, steps from the fog of scandal like nothing can touch him. The ink on his acquittal is barely dry, and suddenly we're supposed to believe he's not only innocent, but untouchable. Then the smoke parts, and here comes Charleston White breathing fire online, slicing through Govin's polished image with the finesse of a chainsaw at a birthday party. The question on everybody's lips isn't just, did he beat the case? It's, who did we just set loose? Because White's accusations don't just sting, they blow up the room, turning a not guilty stamp into the opening shot of something darker, louder, and sinister.
How does it feel to be at the end of this 4-year journey that you've been on?
It feels great. I just feel like I've been born again. I get a chance to restart my life and do some positive things.
For those who missed the blast, Govin's courtroom miracle didn't feel like justice. It felt like street magic with nobody sure who the real magician was. Prosecutors spent months painting Govin as the shadow puppeteer behind the daylight hit on young Dolph, Memphis's favorite son, the city's heartbeat. And the evidence kept stacking like bricks on bricks. Cornelius Smith, who admitted to being one of the shooters, took the stand and swore Govin was pulling strings, dropping guns, picking spots, and promising a cut of the money. Smith said Govin wanted just $10,000, pocket change for a man accused of pushing the boldest takedown in Memphis rap history. The state hauled in phone logs, bank slips, and eyewitnesses until the pile looked like a mountain. Even the defense looked winded. But 3 hours into deliberations, the jury shrugged, shook their heads, and let Govin walk. Maybe they saw holes in the case, or maybe they glimpsed another hand tugging the strings from somewhere deeper in the dark tonight. Memphis fam.
Young Dolph.
Yeah, I know Dolph. I knew Dolph personally, yes, sir. We did business years ago before he actually blew up. He was rapping at the time, but he hadn't blown up yet. Just being in the streets, selling petty back and forth. So, yeah, I knew Dolph personally. He was a good dude.
As Govin steps out the courthouse without a drop of sweat, the internet goes nuclear, fast and ugly tonight. Charleston White never whispers when he can shout, and he starts hurling verbal grenades in every direction like he's aiming to scorch earth everywhere. In his telling, Govin ain't some misunderstood businessman or wrongly accused family man. He's a fake street figure playing dress up. A man whose public life is cosplay, a shadow boxer fronting as a kingpin while real sharks circle behind him. White's words land heavy, echoing through timelines and DMs because in this world, being exposed as a fraud hits worse than getting caught with a smoking gun. But the shots don't stop at Govin's reputation. They keep digging. They twist, burrow, and suggest Govin isn't just an imposter, but a pawn. Someone manipulated, maneuvered, and left holding the bag when cameras cut. Is he a mastermind or a mark? That's the tension electrifying every group chat from Beale Street to YouTube comments right now.
Wait for the verdict this morning.
Nervousness, of course, it's natural. But I got a team around me that was very confident and supportive, so without them, it wouldn't be no me. I just want to thank again Manny, Robert, Haley, Beth, Handel, Betrayal, Leanne, just everybody that played a part and proving my...
Charleston White's real bombshell comes wrapped in 3 tight letters, FBI. That's the one charge that chills every back room and corner booth in Memphis, and Cornelius Smith, the state's key witness, hinted at it from the stand, saying he'd heard Govin might be tied to the feds. That alone sent a cold ripple through the room, fast, sudden shock. The defense laughed it off. If he's an informant, why work with him? But nobody laughs long in Memphis street politics. That label isn't just a scarlet letter, it's an open invite for trouble, flipping allies into enemies overnight and cracking crews down the middle. Suddenly, every deal, late night call, and cash drop gets a hard second look. So did Govin skate because the evidence was weak, or did someone on the inside guide him out quietly? Industry vets whisper that his luck ain't luck at all. Maybe it's the kind you buy, or worse, the kind you trade for secrets sharp enough to bury anybody standing too close to the fire tonight.
You called that testimony that with Jesse Browning BS a joke. Why?
because it was. Half the stuff was just made up within a couple of days of this stuff, and they gave us this mystical receipt that's never been in any of the police reports. The jurors didn't buy it for a second. The lead investigator, Dabney, was incredibly honest when he said these are the mistakes that we made.
The streets got their own version. A whisper campaign running beside every breaking alert like a shadow with a grin, always nearby. For months, the rumor mill been spinning overtime, saying Govin been quietly sliding cash to Big Jook's people, hush money tucked under tables to keep certain names off the paperwork and certain truths out the headlines, no questions asked by anyone at all, ever. 3 former road managers swear they saw stacks change hands at late-night meetups, always unmarked bills, always a third-party courier acting cold and careful. Nobody can prove it, and the label stays sealed tight. But in Memphis, silence can scream louder than a press release, louder than any tidy statement on paper. And you don't need a detective to guess why. If Govin ever fed the feds or even passed crumbs of info, that cash could be payback, insurance, or an IOU for a secret hot enough to torch reputations from here to Atlanta tonight.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back, you know, just from 12 people, you know, so I'm just blessed, and I'm just ready to go see my son.
Behind every headline, viral clip, and meme of Govin hugging his lawyer, there's a personal story most folks don't want to touch, not even a little. Because for all the courtroom theater and smooth-talking defenders, Govin's got ghosts, and none heavier than Destiny Gold, his daughter, whose story became the city's latest open wound. Her absence hangs over him like a thundercloud that won't break, a shadow that won't move or fade at all, ever. Family voices say when Destiny needed him most, he vanished, chasing spotlights while she faced fate alone. They say he barely showed for the funeral, leaving the grieving to those who truly cared while he slid into another interview, another round of Instagram likes, another pose for clicks and clout. That kind of neglect stays quiet until it doesn't, and then it explodes loud for everyone to hear, see, and judge it. That's when Charleston White's narrative picks up speed, because if the man who supposedly pulled strings in the Dolph case couldn't pull himself together for family, what does that say about who he really is deep down inside, truly and clearly?
That's the problem. You don't know who's who. You don't know who your enemies are. Plus, you got a bunch of, crazy young Dolph fans that, might just take the law into their own hands, like not even knowing really the whole story.
Yeah, you got to know the whole story, man. That's one thing about it. You might somebody and it wasn't even that.
The streets still remember Destiny Gold, how her passing cracked the family, and how her friends held candlelight vigils that lit corners with grief and love. Meanwhile, Govin pushed out careful statements, always distant enough to dodge blame, and that cold space only fed the anger. The family's pain is raw, and it doesn't care about courtrooms or clout. As one cousin told a local reporter, "We grieved while he disappeared." For all the whispers about cash and quiet side deals, it's the personal betrayals that never wash away. Maybe that's why Charleston White's words hit so hard. It ain't only about calling someone fake, it's about calling them hollow. Propped up by shady associates who will burn any bridge, family included, if it buys one more second of limelight, one more camera flash, one more headline, one more thrill. So the portrait hardens. Govin Hernandez, acquitted but not absolved, accused but never truly confronted. He walks free for now, but every step leaves footprints Memphis can't forget. The mastermind who might be the oldest pawn on the board. The alleged legend whose tightest ties don't run to blocks but to back rooms where loyalty gets traded for leverage and favors get tallied like scores. Every time he talks or reposts another selfie, the question gets louder. Does he even believe the story he's selling, or has he been twisted by lies, pressure, and power games so deep he can't remember which version of himself he's supposed to play anymore?
I'm always on edge because there's cases I thought I would have won easily, and the jurors just get swayed by the publicity and the media. It's been so one-sided, calling him a mastermind. The press has been going crazy because only the DA talks. And that's the problem with our system, is because they make such a good first impression saying everybody's guilty that it's hard to get a fair trial. But thank God we got jurors. They took hundreds of pages of notes.
Just off camera, shady hands keep tugging strings, nudging Govin toward one feud after another, always steering the spotlight where they want it to shine bright and hot, deliberately cold. When Charleston White called him out, the backlash hit instantly, like a stack of dynamite lit in a crowded club. And Govin, instead of facing the music, seemed to play along anyway. He picked fights, lobbed insults, and stoked drama with the finesse of someone fed exact lines to say on cue tonight. You can almost see the puppet strings flicker in the flashbulbs. And in this world, the only thing more dangerous than being labeled an informant is getting exposed as a tool in plain view. A man with just enough clout to be useful, just enough ego to be reckless, and never enough self-awareness to see what's coming next around the corner tomorrow. Fast and hard.
And I'm gonna tell you this. You too arrogant and you too cocky. They gonna leave your unsolved because of what they know about you. We don't know about you. The public don't. But law enforcement and police.
As Memphis tries to heal from another devastating blow with young Dolph's family waiting on justice that may never arrive, we're left picking through the wreckage of Govan's shaky empire piece by piece, slowly and carefully tonight. The verdict set him free, but the court of public opinion is just warming up, and the questions about informant whispers, backroom payoffs, and fatherhood failures won't die down at all, not soon or quietly. Every rumor adds a new layer to the maze, every hushed confession another twist waiting around the corner for someone to find and fear. Through it all, the truth, whatever it really is, flickers at the end of a long hallway. Nobody wants to walk alone at night ever again, honestly.
I think it's pretty likely. I think when he suggested that he's going to leave town immediately, Count suggested that there may be some type of retaliation again.
Step deeper into the shadows of this story and the Memphis rap scene stops looking like business. It looks like a chessboard where every move risks a checkmate or worse. The deeper you dig into Govin Hernandez's ties to CMG, the more it looks like a network built on loyalty, leverage, and calculated violence. And right in the middle of that web, Hernandez, despite his denials, starts to read like a silent enforcer whose prints never smudge. Whispers long claimed he acted as a fixer for Yo Gotti's camp, but after the Dolph trial, those whispers turned to shouts that ricochet from block to block. Scroll the prosecutor's claims, the street chatter, and the endless social posts, and a shape appears, Hernandez as the one you call when nobody else will touch the job. He lines it up, makes sure it's done, then slips into the night before the dust even thinks about settling. In this world, loyalty is a currency, and Govan's price kept moving with the heat. From the earliest sparks of the PRC-CMG feud, folks said names didn't rise and fall by accident. They moved by design. The running theory says Govan wasn't just connected to CMG. He was embedded, trusted to pass messages, line up hitters, and tie off loose ends with as little noise as possible, like a professional operator. The state framed him as the middleman between Anthony Big Jook Mims and the shooters, the go-between who kept his hands looking clean while the streets ran red. If Cornelius Smith's testimony holds, Govan did more than talk. He provided intel, weapons, and cool reassurance that everybody would get paid like promised. But in this world, promises mean nothing until the money hits palm, and this time the payout didn't shine. It curdled into one of the city's dirtiest secrets, a stain that won't wash away.
What's next for him? Does he have an exit plan? Because we know the are coming fly on the plane now, so...
Yeah, like if you watch the end of the interview, I talk about him moving out of Memphis, and he's like, yeah, I have plans to do it, but I got family here, I'm trying to do it, but I'm not sure when I'm going to do it. And I'm like, man, you need to do it.
Everybody knows the headlines, an alleged $100,000 bounty over Dolph's head from Big Jook, with smaller payouts tossed like party favors at anyone willing to target PRE artists, shamelessly loud. But behind those headlines sits a dirtier tale of deception and double cross, because when it came time to pay up, most people got shorted badly, angry. Cornelius Smith testified he saw only $800, a crumb compared to the promise. And later his lawyer mysteriously received $50,000 with no clear sender at all. Money seemed to fall from nowhere and land without explanation, like hushed thunder in the night. And nearly $90,000 from the original bounty, gone. Vanished into the same black hole where Memphis street secrets love to hide, forever unseen.
You were very passionate in your closing arguments about, about Govan being just a man from Orange Mound up against the system. Kind of talk about where that passion came from.
When I go to 201 and look at the people that are in there, I know a lot of people do wrong, and I understand that, and I don't want violence in the streets because I live, in towns as well. But
here's where the legend tilts into a tabloid nightmare, the missing $90,000 gone like smoke and wind. Did Hernandez keep it as a quiet bonus for keeping heat off CMG's top brass, or did that cash move to silence someone higher up the ladder, far away from the light and noise tonight? Veteran insiders point at a wide cover-up, hinting the money-greased wheels at every level. Lawyers, witnesses, maybe even informants, with nobody getting what they bargained for except the man who walked out free, smiling wide. If true, that trail doesn't end. It loops back into deals that don't just end careers, they erase people from the map entirely, brutally so.
They virtually echoed everything that he said in closing, and they were very critical that anyone could be locked up that long and didn't have the resources to defend themselves. The jurors said that. They echoed that, and the guy said, I am offended. I'm offended by this.
Nowhere is the tension thicker than when the focus lands on Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother and the alleged bankroll behind the Dolph scheme, the heavy hitter. His own shooting this year was public and brutal. Broad daylight, no suspects, no arrests, and rumors stacking like bricks, non-stop and loud. A former CMG security consultant claimed that after Dolph's death, the whole machine started to unravel from the inside. The same ties that protected men like Hernandez became liabilities, and every meeting felt like a setup. Was Jook eliminated because he knew too much, and was Hernandez involved cleaning loose ends before anyone could talk truthfully? The label stays silent, but the streets say the dots connect themselves. And in Memphis, retribution rarely waits for a court date, ever again.
And that ain't nothing but God for him, man. He should take advantage and run. 10 years you had, and then you was facing life. Like life without the possibility of parole, yeah, the average person would have took that.
Every player in this saga orbits one corrosive truth. In the fight for power, nobody's life is guaranteed. Young Dolph wasn't the only target. Prosecutors said Big Jook and his circle wanted PRE artists wiped off the board, with smaller bounties waved at anyone willing to cross that line. The violence wasn't random. It was strategic, coordinated, and if you believe experts, directed by men like Hernandez who lived in the gray between boss and underling, always with one eye on the exit. The fallout didn't end with Dolph. Every drive-by, every rumor of a missing witness, every strange payment bears the fingerprints of a city at war with itself, where fame and infamy are two sides of the same coin. Through it all, Hernandez kept one step ahead, insisting he was the wrong man in the wrong place at the wrong time. His legal team framed him as a victim of circumstance, a scapegoat for a case nobody could fully untangle. But follow the phone records, the midnight meetings, the money drifting between camps, and it's hard not to see a spider working a lucrative web. If he was manipulated, he was still complicit, bending with the wind but never blowing away. His silence in court said plenty. He didn't testify, he didn't need to, if the deals were already signed behind closed doors. And even if he never pulled the trigger, the shadow he cast felt like the man behind the curtain, still shaping the stage. Meanwhile, the streets carry the aftermath. Young Dolph mourned as more than a rapper, mourned as a symbol, a man who gave back and tried to rewrite the rules. Cut down in the city he loved.
I mean, even if you didn't pull the trigger, you're still the mastermind behind it. So you still should have did some time.
Big Jook's fate stands as a warning to anyone who thinks power is permanent. The shooters left penniless and betrayed are a cautionary tale about the cost of loyalty in a world where your reward might be a few crumpled bills and a windowless cell. And at the center stands Hernandez, walking free, smiling for cameras like he's daring the world to try again. So we're left with questions that burn hotter than answers. If Hernandez really acted as CMG's secret hand, what else has he done that hasn't surfaced? If the missing money bought silence, how many more payoffs hide in the margins of this story? Did Big Jook's end clear the board for someone even more dangerous? Or is this just another chapter in a saga with no end in sight? It's hard to shake the feeling that more names could be added to the list. Each one, another casualty of the Memphis cycle. Loyalty, betrayal, violence. Beneath headlines, podcasts, and viral threads, the same engine turns: money, ego, leverage, flipping friends into rivals, rivals into targets, while the city counts losses. So this is where we leave it, for now truly. One man's freedom seemingly paid for by other people's silence, a trail of broken promises, missing cash, and lives derailed. A courtroom can set someone loose, but the streets measure justice differently, by secrets kept, enemies outmaneuvered, and power moving in rooms where cameras don't reach. And if Hernandez slipped the net once, who says he can't do it again while the lights move on? How many more secrets are waiting to explode? Drop your theories, your outrage, and your boldest guesses in the comments. Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next drop, because nothing in Memphis is ever what it seems, and this story isn't done. Stay alert, stay skeptical, and keep your eyes on the next move.